Hey, welcome back. So I have a video. It's been a long time since I've done one, really, and it's been a long time since I've been trying to figure out what to do a video on. I just sort of hit like a bit of a block. I've had some hobby funk. I've been really busy with work. My wife has been busy with work. She actually is like in a temporary I don't want to say promotion, but she's moved up a bit just temporarily to fill in, and she's traveling a lot for work. I've had grades I had to do. I've had my kids just in general. It's been a crazy, couple of months for me, basically since we got done Christmas, and it just seems to keep getting busier and busier and busier, and my hobbying stuff has sort of suffered as a result. Um, anyways, this is sort of just like a bit of an update of what I've been up to, and there's going to be a follow up video, hopefully, in the next couple of days. We'll see, because, as I said, my wife's got a bit of a promotion, and so as a result, she's traveling a lot, and she's away right now. It's like the third time in like the last month and a half that she's been gone for like a week. So it's just me and my boys. And getting them, you know, up, ready to school so I can get to work, and then getting them home, getting them fed. One of my boys went out to a birthday party that was randomly on a Tuesday. Um, just getting them throughout their day is taking up a lot of my time, obviously. And yeah, it's just I've been trying to do this video for a couple of days, and it's just been hard to sit down and really talk about it. But I think I'm going to be able to get through this. Hopefully, it's not too long, but it is a bit of a rambling um, video where I'm going to talk about a few different things. But there is a sort of script, so it should be okay. So, anyways, yeah, like I said, I was in a hobby funk, and I just wasn't getting anything done. So, Cadia Stands that came out like it's going on 4 months now, I think, and in that time, I've built a bunch of stuff from my box sets, but I haven't done much in the way of painting. I just um partially it was all that stuff I've talked about, just hard to find time, but also I forgot how tedious the 122nd fatigues are. And it sort of gave me fatigue. um, and on top of that, that's a terrible joke. But on top of that, these new Cadians are much more detailed than my old pewter Cadians that I use and the 3D prints that I use. These guys here are just, they're gorgeous. They look so good painted up. And I've got two squads painted up, or just about two squads, plus the command squad from one of the boxes. And I'm going to finish building the other two squads that I have this week so that I can get after painting them hopefully next week. I think I might just try to really rush them out, just do the 20 of them super fast. But we'll see, because it's a lot of stuff that needs to get done, and it's not the only part of that project I'm working on. I also have like what is it, like four Leman Russ, a couple of Chimeras, a Hellhound, a couple of other tanks, some Sentinels, like a whole bunch of stuff ready to be spray painted. Well, not spray painted, sorry, but airbrushed. And I want to get that done because that's a huge chunk of options. Right now, I have fully painted like 9 or 10 Cadian shock squads. I can maybe do like I could probably do 10 squads total if I mix some infantry in there just to use the heavy weapons and free up some lasgun troopers. But yeah, I've got a lot of infantry ready to go. And right now my tanks that are painted they're pretty limited what I have. I've got like my Griffin, which is, can't use it. I mean, I can just call it like a Basilisk or something. It's fine. I don't think anybody's gonna care, at least not in my group. I got 4 Leman Russ ready to go, or yeah, 4 Leman Russ with a variety of turrets. And then I've got a couple of chimeras. I think I said that maybe, but anyways, yeah, like two chimeras, one or two chimeras. I'm not even sure now how many are painted. It might only be one chimera. Um, the Griffin and 4 Leman Russ plus a bunch of infantry. And if I get all these other tanks done, I'm going to have a really good selection of vehicles to go with. And obviously, in ninth edition, the Guard Codex, really, you do need tanks unless you're going to go all infantry. And I'm also working on that list. I do have a pretty good plan of how that's going to work. Again, it's just a matter of finishing up those last couple of squads because right now my Cadians are infantry wise, they're bloated. I have so many infantry, pretty much all of them painted. I just need to finish them up. Stop dragging my feet, just sit down and get it done. I have 3 Cadians that are waiting to be painted just to finish up one of my squads because I want to paint them on a video just to show off how I do it with the new guys and that camo scheme because I don't think I've ever made a video showing how I paint my Cadian 122nd, so I want to make sure that gets done. And then I have a few characters I want to paint too, just to give me some more options as far as, support units go. I dug out an old Engine Seer and Preacher, or whatever they're called, the priest characters that you're allowed to have. And I've pulled out my Ogrins, which they're actually pretty much all painted. I got to paint a Bonehead, just because I did get the Bonehead somewhat recently. These are the mid 2000s Ogrin sculpts, the really nice ones. I have, like I said, a few of them painted up. Just need to paint up two more. I got to paint up 2 more, then I'll have my 6. I don't really need 6, but I think that's the max squad now. So I know I have 1 spare on top of the Bonehead, so I'm going to get him done. And anyways, getting this whole plan written out in my head for the Guard here to get them finished is kind of helping me get motivated. Because I'm looking at the stuff here, and it just looks so good. And I think that's the problem. I haven't been looking at it as much as I should have, although that's strange to say, just because I have actually even been playing ninth edition. That's also building up on my motivation to finish up this army, at least the stuff I'm talking about. After that, I'm going to take a break from 40k as far as painting goes, because I want to get back at my goal that I've had for the past few years of doing 3,000 points of fantasy every year. That's also been part of my motivation issue, is I haven't been able to pick a fantasy army. And that's because there wasn't a Christmas box set that just called to me. A couple of years ago it was ogres. This last year it was the vampire counts, or whatever they're called now, grave lords. And I grabbed those Age of Sigmar boxes, grabbed square bases, and I was good to go. Grabbed a few other things to build them up. In some cases it was third party, like I used a lot of third party skeletons for my vampires. I picked up as much used stuff as I could get. And overall, I mean, I did those 2 armies quite cheap, for Warhammer Fantasy, and they're both 3,000 point armies. I think both of those are under $500 Canadian, and that's a couple of years ago, really, for some of those things too. So, relatively speaking, quite cheap for fantasy. When anybody who plays fantasy knows, doing a 500 point army back, even when the game was still new, was quite difficult because of the way the way the army building was done. It was really hard to get lots of guys, but we are so spoiled for third-party choices, 3D printing today, that between those 2 options alone, my vampires just grew so fast. I was able to, so to speak, raise them really quickly. And I also was able, with the box set, the Christmas box set had a good discount. That was a good chunk of obviously what I spent. But then I just got some good deals on used stuff. And I have, again, I just get back on track. I have not been able to find anything that draws me in. Um, and I guess I've just been looking at the stuff I already own. I have a couple of like unfinished armies basically just sitting in boxes, waiting to get done. And they're just little things that I've picked up over the years, put away, picked at, stripped, whatever. Some of them have been painted before, but I think at this point here, I do have a plan, which I'll get to in a minute. It's helping me build that motivation again because this is kind of what I'm at right now, is just building motivation. So one thing that I did find helped, was starting to clear out extra stuff. I've still got a long ways to go to get rid of all the stuff I don't want or need. I'm just looking at my shelf right now. I can see, a half dozen models right off the bat that I'm just going to like get rid of. I don't need them. It's too much. And I have a couple of other things. Like I've already just recently I sold off half of my Praetorians, specifically the half that wasn't painted. I love my Praetorian 40k Imperial Guard army. I think I've done a video at least once on them. They're so cool. They're iconic. But again, I just said I'm gonna have 12 infantry squads in just my Cadians. I don't need. I had 11 or 12 squads of them. I'm down to 5 or 6 squads of Praetorians. That's all I need. I mean, it's just they're a display piece army at this point. Um, if I was playing some giant game, I might dig them out. Or if I just was like, for fun, gonna toss out a bunch of tanks, I might grab a few of them and use them as my, you know, my sort of like mandatory infantry, so to speak, just to have somebody to grab objectives. But really, I don't see myself playing them in some big gun line. It's just not something I want to do with them. I might dig them out for a game of third edition, I think, or maybe even second at some point. But for that purpose, I have enough. I'm also getting rid of some of my Vostroyans because again, had a huge amount of Vostroyans. I love Guard. I mean, I've talked about this before. I collect Guard. I don't just play Guard. I collect Guard. This is my thing that I collect irrationally. Um, there was a time that it was like purpose built what I was getting. I had 30 Lehman Russ or whatever it was at one point. I have cleared that down a bit because I was playing a lot of Apocalypse. I had 20, 25, probably 25 Lehman Russ. And I'm down to, I have 2 companies, which is still way more than I need. um, so it's something else to think about letting go of, more of in the future. Because again, I just don't see myself playing Apocalypse anymore. I don't have the time. By the time I have time to play Apocalypse, I mean, I don't think I'll have anybody to play with, or we'll see. But I have a lot of stuff for that, and clearing out some guard is kind of cathartic because it's opening my options. It's not because I don't see myself owning 4 or 500 guard infantry. It's that I don't see myself owning them inside like 3 regiments. Would much rather have, um, well, my Cadians I'm going to have a lot of just because I don't need all of them, but I like the idea that I can break out a 12 squad detachment and they're all going to look the same and it's going to be good. But I also like the idea of having little spatterings of other regiments. And so I have my Praetorians, like I just said, I'll have a few squads of them. It's not even enough for like a full battalion detachment. But it's okay because it's just they're cool. And I'm going to keep about 60. It's maybe 50 or 60 again, Vostroyans, because they're cool. And with them, one of the cool things I can do with them is I can run them as Scions. The Scion models are neat. They're not bad. I have some somewhere. But I'm going to sell what I have of Scions. I mean, I bought them when they came out, bought a Torox or whatever it's called with them, and I basically never used them. because you know I didn't buy the Scion Codex at the time. I just got them to use as like um excuse me. Sorry, stormtroopers or whatever I guess Scions is what they were called. Duh. Um, I just got them because they were new, and again, I collect guard, but I don't need them. I don't find joy in them, so to speak. Is that what was it, Mary Kondo thing that was popular a couple of years ago? Went, I'm gonna let them go, and it's clearing space out for me. So Praetorians cleared out already. Vostroyans are looking like they're gonna disappear, about half of them pretty quick. And then I'll be getting to some tanks to get rid of. I've already got rid of some, need to get rid of some more. And just focus on having enough to play the things I want to play. Because um, otherwise, I'm just building up these giant collections that are going into boxes. I don't have space to display them all. So if I get rid of some, I can display what I have a lot easier, and I'm justifying myself for new stuff. Like, for example, these guys. I mean, Armageddon Steel Legion made to order. Am I going to buy 60 of them? No, I don't need 60. Um, I have a couple of las cannons for some reason. I've had them for years. I really thought I sold them, but I just came across them the other day. And then, surprise, surprise, these guys showed up made to order because I was originally, when I found them, just going to sell them. But now, obviously, I'll just hold on to them. And I think I'm going to grab myself this platoon. I mean, two squads of 10, an officer, three more las cannons. I'll probably grab one more squad just to have three. And then I'll grab myself a heavy bolter to finish out that second heavy weapon squad. It's not like good synergy or whatever, it's not meta, but the sculpt is super cool. Um, I could even just take like the rocket launcher unit and put it in with the las cannons and stick that into one of the um, infantry squads. Because then I can just grab three of my chimeras. I have loads of chimeras. Paint them up to go with these guys. Um, it's going to look good. It's going to be just a nice little force, three chimeras, 30 dudes. In the chimeras, a couple of leaders, an officer. Probably grab this commissar. And then some heavy bolter or heavy weapons in the background covering them. And again, will I play them a lot? Probably not. But I can definitely see myself just happily displaying them, which is what I want for my guard. Again, guard for me are like my irrational collection. I've always wanted to have a platoon or two of every regiment. I think down to a platoon is enough. For those of you that are newer, a platoon back in the day was like 25 to 55 men plus other elements, but um, that's more like the 5th edition codex, which just got wild. Uh, 3rd edition, 4th edition, when I started, was 3rd. A platoon was 5-man command team, 2 10-man squads, and you could buy up to 3 extra squads, so 55 guys. Um, that is a basic guard unit to me. It's why I get so frustrated with the newer guard codex and not having platoons, especially when the keyword of platoon is added and you see that and you're like, oh, platoons are back, and then platoons are not back, and it's sad. I mean, I literally would have even accepted, you know, the ability to take 2 squads worth of men in one troop choice, i.e., 20 guys. Just because then I could still bulk out huge numbers of infantry and not have to go with the biggest detachments. But then I'd also justify myself owning hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of infantry, which I'm clearly saying right now I want to, scale back. So I can justify other regiments in the future. Have my one big gaming regiment and the rest just have them sitting up on a shelf waiting for like the day that I just randomly decide to play a game of 3rd edition. And I can just bring down, like I said, 4 platoons of various guardsmen like it's 1999. Everything just looks different and who cares? So, yeah, that's another big piece of motivation for me is getting rid of stuff so I can justify bringing in something I actually want, not just something I'm holding on to because I own it already. You know, for me, yes, I want to have a lot of guardsmen. I love them. You know, I'm a lot like Morty and Glory in that sense. I think I've heard Auspex Tactics talk about how he's a big fan of guard. I think a lot of people, if you're especially an older player, guard just for a lot of people do something for us. It's the idea that it's those regular dudes, and some of them have goofy giant bearskin hats. Some of them look like pretty modern soldiers. Some guys are dressed up like they're going to go on safari, but they just and also because of all those different uniforms, you're looking at these guys. These guys here are just super cool. The Steel Legion or the Death Corps. All these things that are different, having them available to us was really cool at the time, and it's very sad we don't have them all anymore. And that you got to wait for these things to pop up, or hope for a good deal on eBay, so you don't just pay out the nose for them. But again, just motivation for me. Get something new in. Just a few of them, something that shouldn't take too long to paint because these are far less complicated than the Cadians I've been painting. I mean, just the Cadian 122nd, super cool, but man, oh man, if you don't have patience for camouflage, or if you just don't want to spend a lot of time on guardsmen, this is not the army for you. Um, those videos people do of like, oh, it doesn't take that long to paint the 122nd. Yeah, if you're painting like 1 or 10 or something, it's fine. But if you're going to build up an army, oh man, it's a lot of time. So, anyways, back on track. Again, another thing that's built up my motivation. I think I said this already, but I'm playing Ninth Edition, and I have not played Ninth Edition. You know, the last game I had played was about 2 years ago, or like more than 2 years ago, and you know, it's been a couple of months since I've played my first game again. I've been playing Kill Team. I've been playing um what's the other one? Um, is there another version? Not Kill Team. Yeah, Kill Team, and I guess like other board games. Like we've been playing different things. But my 40k fix. Sorry, I kind of lost it there. What I was trying to get at, but we were playing a whole bunch of different stuff, but we weren't playing 40k. Um, I played more fantasy in the last 2 years than I did 40k. I've played more third edition 40k than I've played ninth edition. Um, it just wasn't doing it for me. The new Guard Codex definitely helped again with motivation to get back into it, but new players sort of have started showing up in my area. Um, First off was just a guy that I have known for a few years. We played some Magic: The Gathering. I haven't really played that in a long time, so we hadn't been playing that. And mostly he just played board games with me and the other guys in my group. Well, in our group, because he's part of it. It's just that he wasn't playing 40k. And the rest of us weren't playing 40k either. As far as I know, none of them ever talked about it. And, when we did sort of talk about it, we all sort of always trailed off and didn't seem that interested. Again, we'd play other versions of Warhammer. We never got around to ninth. So, anyways, this guy he went for Christmas, and when he came back, he had Death Guard, and he's been building them up. He's doing really good painting them up as he plays, or sorry, as he buys them, which is nice. Most of us don't do that. We either get sidetracked with too many projects, or for whatever reason, we buy too much stuff, or we just don't paint it. And over the years, I've painted thousands and thousands of minis, but there's been long stretches at times where I'll buy stuff and then I just like play gray armies or primed armies. And it's refreshing seeing a new player who's actually getting after the painting side right away. And yeah, we've been playing, and it's been fun. Um, I'm basically a new player myself at this point. It's been so long, and ninth edition is so different from what I kind of am used to. I think back on 8th edition, and even by the end of 8th edition, I was pretty frustrated and really kind of just excited for ninth because I was hoping they would just get rid of all those extra books that had built up. And I think at the end of the edition, I was carrying like 5 or 6 books just to have all my stuff. And thankfully, they've gotten rid of most of that. It's so nice just to have my guard codex and nothing else. Um, I'm sure in some ways I'm missing out compared to other people, but I don't even care. Um, they can have all the books they need or all the books they want, whatever. Um, I don't know if they do, but I mean, if somebody's got 4 books still and they love it, it's good for them. But I'm so glad to have one. I really have enjoyed going back to third edition just because, other than like, you know, oh, I'm a space wolf or I'm a blood angel or whatever. Um, Other than those situations, it's very rare in third edition that you would have had a second book. Same in fourth edition. Same in fifth edition. It really wasn't until the end of fifth or sometime in sixth edition when we started getting all these supplements after supplements after supplements. Um, and those supplements weren't just like Apocalypse or like the battle missions book. We had all these different supplements when I was younger, campaigns and whatnot. But I mean, the idea of needing one of them in a game was, you know, it wasn't something we thought of because you didn't really need those books. I mean, I guess randomly you might decide you were going to play like a PDF guard force for the Eye of Terror campaign, but I mean, in reality, I don't think I ever met anybody who played those lists more than a couple of times. So, yeah, ninth edition, I've played it. It's a lot better than I recall. I do think a lot of it is just because it doesn't seem to play the same exactly since I last played it. The Guard Codex is a lot more streamlined. Wahapedia has been a huge blessing helping me get this all organized and straight in my head. And just in general, it's nice having someone new to play with. The other guys in my group are slowly coming back in. There was a time when there was like, in our pretty small town, there was like 10 of us playing, 40K every week, basically. And we've petered down over the years, and at one point, it was just a couple of us still sort of playing Warhammer at all. But yeah, there's been 2 guys, 3 guys extra that have started to come back. Um, when I went to sell my Praetorians, somebody saw my location and was like, "Hey, it's interesting. I see what region you're in, but it's not being clear about where specifically in the region you are. I'm in this town. Which town are you in?" And I said, "Oh well, I'm in this town too." And we were both kind of shocked to find out there was somebody else in town that was playing Warhammer, and we just didn't know about them because we're very far from game stores and stuff, and he's relatively new to the area, is my understanding. And yeah, so he basically was starting to get some of his friends to play. He's a player that left, I guess, is the way I understand it. And yeah, so we just kind of randomly met through a sales ad. And he didn't buy the stuff. That's fine because we just got chatting, and I got something way better. Really, I got a new opponent maybe, and we're gonna meet up next week once my wife is back, and I have a chance to like clean up the disaster that my children have made my house into. Well, it's just been me trying to manage them, and we're gonna meet up, chat, maybe have a small game, and see where it goes from there. We chatted for a while online. Motivation, that's all this is. This is me just trying to think about all the ways I've been motivated lately to get more you know involved in all this again. And as I said, I've been getting rid of stuff. I've been thinking of what I can bring in, just to give me something different. And as I was saying, I did finally figure out what I'm going to do for my fantasy plans this year. I am not going to paint a full 3,000 point army this year. I just don't know what to paint. I have some dark elves. And because I have oh my god, what's her name? Marathi, and a couple of other like sort of pricey units. Like I've got some Blackguard, I've got some Executioners. I mean, if you don't know fantasy, basically these are just evil elves. And these are some of the more expensive things you can buy. Because I have those, I can build up my 3,000 points pretty quick with what I have. 3D print anything extra that I might need. And yeah, I mean, I could do it that way, but I was like, I don't really want to do Dark Elves right now. I've done Ogres, I've done um, the Vampires, I've already done like monsters and bad guys. I want to break from that. I don't want to do a third evil army or like, bad guy army. So I started thinking, okay, what else do I got? I got some dwarves, but I don't have anywhere near enough dwarves, I don't think, unless I just paint up. Like I do happen to have a Thorgrim, which is like the big king. He's like sitting on a giant. He's on a big throne, um, being carried around by other dwarves. And I've got him, and I've got some guys to go with him to make like a really big, expensive block. It'll be like 1,000, like 1,200 points. Like it's gonna be a huge block of men, dwarves, couple of war machines. But again, I'm just like, I don't know if I want to paint dwarves. At least just not right now. I just don't think I'm in the mood for that. I've always had a Bretonnian army that's like half done, picking away at it slowly. And they're just not an army I ever want to sit down and paint a lot of. So then I started looking at what I already have done. And my two main armies that are basically like they're finished are my Empire and my Skaven. I mean, I have a lot of fantasy armies. This is partially because I really like to collect them again. Um, Fantasy is a broad collection for me, unlike 40k. 40k, like, I'll play other armies, but I collect guard. But in fantasy, I just like everything. I think it all looks cool. It just like when you have them all next to each other, different armies. There's just so much going on, so many differences. Big ogres over there, skeletons here, um, knights in like resplendent, shining armor, and then on the other side, there's just a bunch of like little short dudes with rifles and cannons and helicopters. It just everything clashes in such a good way when you put them together on a board that I like just having options. And I've painted up a lot of Empire and a lot of Skaven over the years. But each of those armies have some key pieces that have been sitting in my collection waiting to get painted. So what I'm going to do for fantasy is I'm going to grab 3,000 points of each. Most of those 3,000 points are already painted, but there's a few key things. One thing, for example, um, Volkmar the Grim. I have the plastic Volkmar kit just sitting on my shelf. I grabbed it when I heard about Cities of Sigmar in the Age of Sigmar game. As soon as they said, "Oh, our next army is going to be Cities of Sigmar. It's going to take all those old good guy races like the Empire and the Dwarves and the Elves," and I was like, "Okay, shit, I got to buy some stuff because they're about to cancel like half the ranges," and they did. They canceled a whole bunch of stuff. And Volkmar was one of them. If you don't know who Volkmar is, he is the like head of the Empire's religion of worshiping Sigmar in the old world. And you could have him on foot, or you could have him on a bitchin' war altar wagon, which is basically just like he's on like a parade float being pulled around by horses. It's got a giant golden eagle or griffin statue behind him. Um, and he's just up there like yelling out sermons, and whenever his little parade float gets near the enemy, smashes out his hammer. He's super cool. So, a couple of things in that army that I've been meaning to paint. He's one of them, and yeah, that's what I'm gonna go for. I'm gonna paint him up. I'm gonna paint up a couple of other things, and I'm just gonna say, okay, that's a good chunk of guys. I'm gonna be content. And then with my Skaven, I again, it's like I've got all the little foot troopers painted up, other than maybe some storm vermin, the more elite of the rats. And I got another 3,000 point army. Both of these armies have nice big centerpiece models. I got the War Altar and a steam tank. And then for the Skaven, I've got a Screaming Bell and a Hell Pit Abomination. So I've got really cool looking armies that just need a little bit of work to kind of get their last bits of you know needs out of the way. It won't be quite everything, but it's also going to give me the opportunity to go through those collections and scale back. Because again, I need to get rid of some stuff. I have so many points of each of them, and years ago I used it. I mean, I used to play huge games of fantasy. I used to play huge games of 40k pretty regularly, pretty regularly, and I just don't anymore. Between not having time and the guys that I play with, they were never really into the giant games. You know, one or two of them were, but like not like me. So just getting rid of some stuff now kind of makes sense. Scale back what I have, keep the stuff that is the coolest, keep the stuff that is painted, and just get rid of stuff and just let it go. That's going to again help me motivate myself, because I also think I'm one of those hobbyists that my horde has hit peak nonsense, and it's got to go. It's got to go down. It's got to like retire a bit. I'm not going to start talking about. It's not my pile of shame. It's my pile of opportunity. No, it's not. It's a pile of shame. It's too much stuff. It's got to go. Um, I would play more games, I think, if I had most of my stuff painted, and just letting stuff go is going to actually mean most of my stuff is painted, because I'll get rid of the stuff that's not. And the plans I have for 40k, like I said, finish up that last little bit of guard. I am going to, I guess, wait patiently for however long those Steel Legion take to get here. Um, and because I'm not going to be doing huge, army projects with fantasy this year, I might pick away at some of my other guard regiments just to finish them up. Once the Cadians are done, maybe I could pick away the last couple of squads of Praetorians I need to do. Maybe I can pick away at the last little bits of Ostroians. But also, I do want to get after back at my Horus Heresy Night Lords, who also are basically going to be my 40k Night Lords. I'm not investing in anything right now for 40k that I don't have a book for, i.e., anything but guard, is off the table, because I don't know what's happening with 40k. I am not liking the rumors about like massive book resets. It's not because I think for sure it's happening. I still think it's kind of bullshit. But I was there for Age of Sigmar, so they'll kill a whole system and wipe out whole armies. I was there for 7th edition 40k turning into 8th edition 40k. All my books died. They gave me index books. So there's precedent here. I mean, even going back, when I first started playing, I started playing 3rd edition 40k, which is right when they killed off, the way 2nd edition played. All those books were gone, and you got new books. The codex for 3rd edition came with get me by lists. And then 2000, it was when 6th edition fantasy came. Again, I wasn't playing fantasy. I only started in 6th edition, but I remember what 5th edition looked like, because I knew people that were playing. I was aware of the game, and they changed everything. All the army books from 5th were gone. Ravening Hordes. And I think essentially, if you really get down to it, even Rogue Trader to 2nd edition 40k, it's pretty much a reset in many ways. So GW definitely has a history of doing this. This is not something that they've only started doing in the last 12, so years, 10 years, whatever it's been. Not even 10 years, like 8 years. And I think they're going to do it again. There's a part of me that's worried. I don't think it for sure, but there's a part of me worried that I'm going to go buy, my Chaos book, which shouldn't be that old if I understand the release schedule right, or go get the book for my Eldar, which again, that book only came out like a year ago, but I'm really afraid I'm going to go buy books for like $60 and they're just all going to be dead and gone and have me waste my money, which I'm just not interested in doing. Um, this is one time GW does need to get ahead of the rumors. Hopefully, the Adepticon information we're about to get in the next couple of days includes 10th edition, and they are very clear about what's happening with our books. I just got my Guard Codex in the last like 3 months. If that book disappears, I'm kind of going to be pissed off because 10th edition is supposedly about 3 months away. If my codex for my Guard only lasts 6 months before they make sweeping changes to the way the game plays, resulting in index books, yeah, I'm just gonna be blunt. I'm pirating that shit. I'm not paying for it. Even if I look at 10th edition, which with people starting to play, I probably will. But I'm sure as hell not gonna go buy a bunch of index books again. I've got a stack of index books here somewhere. Um, they're garbage. I mean, there's nothing in them of value at all. The couple of things that maybe are still valid sound like they're about to get tossed in the garbage too. So I think in about 3 months I'll just be taking those right to a recycling bin, which isn't bad. I mean, it gets rid of 5 books. I don't think there's anything of value picture-wise in it to cut out, but I'll see. Maybe there's something to take from it, but I can't see myself going back to 8th edition, at least not the index period. And yeah, like I said, just not buying any books until I know what they're doing. If they get ahead of this and they say, hey, we heard that rumor too, it's not happening. We promise you the books that you just bought, whether it's Leagues of Votann, Imperial Guard, the World Eaters that literally came out in the last month. We're not going to take a 4-month-old book and make you throw it in the garbage. I really hope they do that. Or if they are going to make some sort of big change, maybe they'll just say like, okay, we're going to have some downloads on our website, or maybe do the GW style and sell something like a sticker pack that you can put on certain pages and certain paragraphs to replace something or replace stat lines. I don't know. Something that lets you keep your book, because man, if I had just bought that World Eaters book, which I almost did, and it disappeared like within 4 months, I would be livid. I really hope that doesn't happen to people, but I'm concerned it's going to. Um, yeah. Anyways, I'm gonna stop there. This video is way, way, way too long. I need to grab some sleep because I have work in the morning. And anyways, I know nobody's listening anymore, and that's okay. But if you did somehow get to the end, even if you just kind of skipped your way here, I do appreciate your time. I appreciate everybody who took the time to listen to any of this. Do you have any thoughts or comments about what I said? You just let me know down below. And, I know this one was rambling. You can tell me in the comments, but I already know. This was just me kind of like making up for, 2 months of really not making any videos. But like I said, the motivation is back. I'm going to start talking about some stuff, showing off. I got a couple of new things that I like to show off. I just haven't had a chance to break them out and properly review them in a video. But I think they're kind of interesting. At least one of them is kind of interesting. So hopefully you'll find out in the next week what that is, and you'll find it cool too. Anyways, I'm going to stop there. Thank you so much for listening, and have a great day.